Hello, welcome back. It is week 155 here on Out on That Line podcast. I'm Jeff with my co-host Alex. As always, Alex, how you doing this week?
I'm all rizzed up, Jeff. I'm all rizzed up with nowhere to go. I've done rizzed all over myself. But I tell you what, I'm here to do this dang podcast. No cap, for real, for real. It's bussin'. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing just fine. Just sitting here on my wonderful mountain porch. It's definitely not 101 degrees still here in Texas where I'm at. So I decided to put a little background here to change my mindset. Maybe take me to a little cooler place because it is brutal. It is offensive how hot it is down here in Texas.
Is that a shoot? It's 101 degrees by you right now? Like during
It's
the day?
Yeah, it's so today I went and played golf today at
Jesus.
so it's a sickness. So I always get the early tee times though, because I want to be done by noon, like before that sun gets up too high. And it gets up high real early down here this time of year. And so I start it at 8. By 10 o'clock, 10:30 or so, it's already over 90 degrees.
Jesus Christ.
And thankfully, I'm in a cart. I'm not walking in this heat. Like, I'm not going to walk in any sort of weather these days. I'm way too old for that anyway. But now the heat gives me an excuse at least. So I'm playing. We get done like right at noon. It took exactly 4 hours. Like when I got in my car, it has the little like the lane sensors, so it has the cameras and all that kind of stuff. It said on the dashboard like heat malfunction. Like my safety features were not going to work with how hot it was outside. I think it was reading like 106 at that point in the day.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Pretty like, so when I said offensive, like it deeply to the core of my being. It's like when Donald Trump sees a woman in power. That's like the level of offense I feel with this heat.
She shouldn't be doing that in public. The nerve.
But we are going to talk about the newest Clairo album called Charm. But I heard that Alex had a little something he wanted to start with, and he didn't tell me what it is, so it could be anything. I'm just going to say apologies in advance, folks. He's in a very squirrely mood this evening.
Well, Jeff, it's funny you say that. Because I want to play a squirrely. I want to play a swirly game and win a swirly prize. I am bringing back a little bit that we haven't done in a while. It's music trivia time.
Okay, all right.
Wait.
I'm ready. I signed the waiver.
You knew what you're getting into.
Yeah.
You set this precedent. We got between 1960 and 2024 for trivia.
Okay.
So
and is this a year?
This is a year.
Guess? Okay.
You're trying to guess the year. Okay. Same rules apply. 7 questions. You can log a pick 3 times. Okay. But after 3 times of decisively guessing a specific year,
I lose. Did you notice there's a giraffe in your background now?
Is there? Holy shit, there is.
That's cool.
Damn, that's bussin' for real. No cap.
All right, I'm ready. Let's do this.
Okay, let's jump into it. First question, and I'm just going to a lot of them are doozies, man. So just get ready.
Okay.
And the first one's a doozy. Saturday Night Live producer Lorne Michaels makes a semi-serious on-air offer to pay the Beatles $3,000 to reunite live on the show. John Lennon and Paul McCartney happened to be watching the show together at Lennon's apartment in New York and considered walking down to the SNL studio for a gag, but they were too tired.
I feel like, I don't know if this is going to count, but I feel like it's got to be like mid-70s for this. So I'm going to say, but I'm not going to put a hard number on it.
Well, Jeff, you got to ask yourself, when did John Lennon die?
Don't know.
That help you narrow it down at all? Okay. So you want your next question?
Yes.
Okay. When his tour stops in Memphis, Tennessee, you're going to love this one. When his tour stops in Memphis, Tennessee, Bruce Springsteen jumps the wall at Elvis Presley's mansion, Graceland, in an attempt to see his idol. Security guards stop Springsteen and escort him off the grounds.
It's got to be young Springsteen. I'm going to take a shot in the dark with a guess here. 1973.
Eric Clapton provokes an uproar over comments he makes on stage at a Birmingham concert, voicing his opposition to immigration using multiple racial slurs while exhorting the audience to support Enoch Powell and to, and I quote, keep Britain white.
Oh, that's the. I think we've talked about that on this podcast before, and I definitely have said on this podcast what year that is, and I don't remember. So next question.
Oh, dude, I saw that one and I was like, yes, absolutely. Anytime you can repeat that this motherfucker pulled this bullshit and no one's talking about it, let him hear you. Your next question. Former Tower of Power vocalist Rick Stevens is arrested in the United States for murdering 3 men during a botched drug deal. I don't know why I laughed at that.
I don't know either, and I don't know the year from that hint. What is that? 5?
4. You've done 4. That's your
4.
4th.
Okay, give me another.
Okay. Well, there's a crucial part of that clue I didn't finish. Former Tower of Power vocalist Rick Stevens is arrested in the United States for murdering 3 men during a botched drug deal. He ultimately serves 36 years of a life sentence.
Then I would have to know probably when he died. I assume he died in prison, but I don't remember hearing anything about that guy or that incident. So I will take the next clue.
Moving on. So here's the thing. There's one more music related one and there's 2 pop culture ones. I feel
Okay.
like the music one might give it to you. Do you want a sandwich? Do you want pop culture, music, pop culture?
Yeah, hit me with the pop culture.
Okay. The first video home system, or VHS, was released in Japan. It would not be available in the US until the following year.
Well, it was around before I was, I think.
We're scrambling.
But man, that means probably not. I don't think did the VHS player come out in the 70s? I don't think so. I'll have to take the next clue. Give me that music one.
Not guessing a lot of years here. Interesting. Peter Frampton's live album, Frampton Comes Alive, was the best-selling album of the year, spending 10 non-consecutive weeks at number 1.
Ooh. Then I think I was correct at being the 70s. 1972.
The Boston Celtics defeat the Phoenix Suns 128-126 in triple overtime in Game 5 of the NBA Finals at the Boston Garden. Experts consider this game to be the greatest of the NBA's first 50 years. And of course it fucking is. It's the Boston Celtics, baby.
Shit. Well, okay, so Springsteen was touring. It had to be young Springsteen. Had to be before Elvis died. I don't know anything about Celtics history. I just nothing.
You're gonna learn something.
They used to have that weird pattern on the floor. Boston Garden was a while ago, but I don't know when.
The parquet floors or whatever.
Yeah.
Parquet floors.
Yeah, that I think every overpriced apartment in New York City still has. I think I'm gonna say one more. And if Springsteen was on tour, then did it have to be the 70s or was he touring with one of his first bands? God damn. 1975.
Jeff, unfortunately, you were so close. The correct year is the bicentennial of this country, 1976.
Damn it. Oh, I was honestly, I was closer than I thought I was. But man, that had to have been then like the Darkness on the Edge of Town tour or something, right?
I suppose. I mean, now I'm really showing my ass. I don't remember when those albums came out.
Because I think Born to Run came out 74 and Darkness had to have been a year or two after that. So that's when he was already like very popular. He probably could have just asked. You know?
Oh shit, I forgot.
Yeah, he probably could have just been like, hey, do you hear this song on the radio all the time, Born to Run? Yeah, that's me. Can I meet Elvis, please?
Well, notice how they say he was escorted off the grounds, not he was tased and put in a burlap bag and thrown over the wall.
Yeah, that's and I think they were probably I don't again, but if he was okay to get escorted off the grounds, if they knew who he was, you don't think Elvis would have liked to meet that guy?
Oh, yeah, no matter who he was, whether he'd heard of Bruce Springsteen or not, I'd be like, "Well, let me talk to the intruder. Oh, look, can I take this guy? Oh, look out, man."
Yeah, that was that probably that was kind of late Elvis though. That was
That was fried banana and peanut butter sandwich
yeah.
Elvis, yeah.
And everybody looks down on, they talk about fried peanut butter and banana sandwich, but I'll tell you what, I love a good peanut butter banana sandwich.
Sure,
Yeah, there
absolutely, but
throw a
not
little
8 of
honey
them a
on there.
day.
Well, don't let me loose with a loaf of bread. I'm just saying, that's all I'm saying.
I'm gonna make shirts that say that, "Don't let me loose with a loaf of bread."
Well, I was close. I feel a little disappointed, but I feel like I zeroed right in on the time frame pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
Hey,
And
don't
just
worry, buddy, I'm disappointed too.
yeah, see, I think I'm more of a howitzer guy, not much of a sniper guy.
Hey,
I think is yeah.
many are called, few answer.
Well, what do you say we talk about this Clairo album?
We probably should.
And yes, we probably should. And I'm wondering how much Clairo you'd listen to previous to this because I went back and listened to some, and I'm just curious, like how much you knew about this before we listened to it.
I also went back and listened to some because I had heard a handful of things, including, and this is very similar to the Chapel Roan episode. As you'll recall, I said I was listening to Pink Pony Club when it first came out, which, if I'm not mistaken, is pre-pandemic, but I had a good like 3.5 years on everybody else with Pink Pony Club.
Mhm.
Okay. Pink Pony Club was a BFD with me before it was a BFD with anybody. And I'm actually in a similar situation with Clairo because I was listening to a song of hers called Flamin' Hot Cheetos back in like 2017. And it came out before she like kind of went viral on YouTube and blew up. So yeah, that's me. What's your deal?
I had listened to none before this. If maybe some in passing or something. Oh, here's the
Hey.
man of the hour. Um, some in passing, maybe, but nothing that I'd actively like known that it was her. This album was my first experience. And I'm going to spoiler alert, did not have a lot of fun
Oh,
with this one.
fuck
And
me.
I knew going in, like as I was listening to it, that this was exact like the kind of album that you're gonna love a lot. And I think the reason that I didn't really enjoy it that much is one, lyrically not like strong for me. Just there was I feel like I didn't hate it. Like I'm gonna say all these things I didn't like about it, but I didn't hate it. There's gonna be a lot of reasons it wasn't for me. But I think if you're into the kind of soft melodies of yacht rock, this is gonna slide right into kind of that pocket for you. I am pretty notoriously not a fan of those smooth sounds. Um, there was some interesting parts, and musically, I felt like it just wasn't dynamic enough for me. There was a lot of stuff going on in the background, not enough stuff going on like as a main feature. And there's a lot of folks that I think are going to like that. Not what I was looking for.
See, it has a completely different dynamism to me where you're like, it's not really all that different. Oh, we'll get into it. But I, I'm gonna make you hate this album by the end of this. I want you to hate this album. I want to go to bat for this thing. It's funny because I started listening to it and I texted Tanner and I was like, hey man, this has notoriously always been a point where our musical tastes diverge. I send him like Caliucci's and Mitski, and he's like, I see why it's good, but
Mhm.
it's just not for me. And I'm like, you fucking Benedict Arnold.
He just doesn't want to give women any power.
No, he
That's
doesn't.
Tanner's problem.
He's just like Trump. We heard that here. But it's a notorious because here's the thing. He and I are yacht rock guys. We're smooth music guys. It's like a big integral part of the Venn diagram for us. And This is not necessarily yacht. It's smooth as fuck. It's right there. It's right there. It's kind of dipping a toe into yacht. I'm not going to call this thing yacht, but it's got those soft rock kind of bones to it. And I thought to myself, I'm like, if any one album in that genre that I like, Quiet Storm, the like slightly psychedelic elements, boy, those dogs are going fucking ape shit
Yeah,
over there.
yeah, I think there's some squirrels making themselves very comfortable in the backyard.
It's a swirly, squirrely night.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just starting to yap, I guess, about how much I enjoyed this and how much I enjoy Quiet Storm, which this definitely was. And I exist in a space where Caliucci's and Clairo and Mitski are just like uh, a whole ass vibe, bussin' for real, no cap.
So I think the reason, and I love Mitski, but there's some Mitski songs that I just don't tend to care for that much, and it's exactly ones that are more like this. So Mitski, I think, has a good gets into the rockin' a little bit more, and I don't want to compare this to the Chapel Roan album that much, but I do want to compare like my experiences with it because I think lyrically, Charm just because I was reading along the lyrics with the music, and maybe because I wasn't that inspired by the music, the lyrics didn't really catch me. Maybe maybe the tail was kind of wagging the dog at that point. But what I noticed is the lyrics kind of sparse. Like there's not a lot of like real, kind of expounding on emotions and things like that. It's all very much this kind of like little vignettes of these little emotional moments. And it didn't really give me a chance, or at least that I felt like a place to grab onto to relate to it. I think that was a big issue that I had is like, and Chapel Roan, as if, I can really relate to that. But I think there's more of a freedom, more of an edge, more of a kind of spontaneity to the Chapel Roan album that I was missing with this album. And those are the types of things that I like to be surprised by moments in music. I like to be like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of doing that there. It just seemed like every single song I could kind of know exactly how it was going to go. And there were a couple of them that I liked just fine, but as a whole album, like it was honestly tough for me to get through.
See, and I was surprised by a lot of things that happened, and not because they were like these mind blowing twists and turns. It was just like very pleasant, very pleasing. It broke with a lot of pop structure, and to me, this album is a hook factory, like that. Ooh, and Juna, however you want to pronounce it.
Mhm.
Ah, these songs are just like loaded with that. And for me, you say like the lyrics were sparse and they were vignettes and it made it kind of hard to get into them. That again was a hook for me because the music was doing half the lifting. Clairo is like more mysterious to me than somebody like Caliucci's or Mitski or Chapel Roan, where you're like, I'm getting a strong vibe. With Chapel Roan, it's even like a character,
Mhm.
but I'm getting a distinct personality here. And it feels like a weird backwards compliment to be like, I don't get any personality from Clairo, because that's not the case. But it was like the simplicity of it, like it reminded me a little bit of the Billie Eilish album, where those little like intimate moments that were just kind of not drawing attention to themselves were like the ones that felt the most authentic. So there was a lot on here that just felt like an off the cuff emotional reaction. And when I say emotional, I don't mean like over the top. Like it's called Charm because it's about times you've been charming and times you've been charmed. So it's just like calling it cute sounds dismissive, but it's cute in its sentiment. But it's also to me like there's a lot of craftsmanship to it with like the mellotron and the Wurlitzer and the piano and the organ and like real craft to this like 70s psychedelic sound while also just making these fucking grooves. Like to me, this thing, the reason I sent it to Tanner and the reason I got excited about it is I was like, it grooves in its own quiet way, like Quiet Storm is supposed to. Like Sade even like turn the knob down a little bit, and you've got that same kind of thing where it just keeps rolling at you. Um, That was the stuff that made it interesting to me. I don't know. I like it. Yeah.
So I like that you brought up the Billie Eilish because vocally was another thing on this. It was just very much like there was not a lot of dynamic range to me with the vocals. Um, what I liked about the Billie Eilish album is because she has those songs too, where she sings in that kind of little whisper tone. But then she has songs like Birds of a Feather, where it's got this kind of brighter chorus. And there's more of those moments of like kind of more of a more uplifting feeling, something that's a little more intense musically. And I feel like it was just a lot of very similar song structures, very similar instrumentation, and very similar kind of dynamics throughout the entire album on this Charm one. Now, that's to say, like, I knew that you were going to like it a lot because I feel like it's a lot more in your pocket. Like, I think you like more of the, things that are a little more subtle in their message, things that are, a little bit more like, I like very kind of aggressive in your face type of music. That's kind of always what I've been into. And we have some overlap there, but I think more of our overlap definitely comes from like pop music and country music and things like that.
Yeah. Once you start getting into like Blood Raven and shit like that, I'm like, I'll see you later.
Yeah. So and I think this type of like the singer songwriter specifically like type of music, I think is where we really diverge quite a bit, because I think the albums that we tend to disagree on are ones like this. And I can see there's a reason it's popular, and I think she's being very honest in these lyrics. I think there's some songs like I didn't hate everything and I didn't hate it at all. It was just like not something that got me excited at any point during the process. But what I did like, Second Nature was a good song on there. I think when the lyrics were a little bit more just, instead of describing these situations where you really have to be kind of reading the lyrics to know what she's saying or like really put the context to it. There's certain songs where she's a little more direct and kind of how she's presenting things, and those I appreciated a lot more. Um, Whereas Add Up My Love, I think, was also a good, because that was kind of clever in the way she put that together. And I really, Una or Juna, like that to me, just the ooh part was about the only part of that I enjoyed. So, and it's not, and I guess when I say enjoyed, it makes it sound like I absolutely hated the rest of it. It was just fine. It was I got just as much enjoyment out of it as a lot of the songs that are just on in the background while I'm at work. It's just, and that's kind of faint and damning praise, I know.
Mostly damning.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's just not for me. I think it's understandable like why people are going to love this a lot, and I think if you're in the right kind of mood, if you're, if you've had experiences that you can relate to these things, it's probably going to hit with you. And I think because I haven't, it doesn't.
I've accepted that in our friend group, I'm the only one that's going to enjoy this shit. I'm on an island here, and that's fine. It's me and a bunch of 23-year-old girls that live in Brooklyn. We're all super into this, and that's okay with me. It's just it's the intersection of the simplicity of the lyrics, but like it's not big ideas. I like that it's not taking a whack at big ideas. It's not taking a whack at like crazy lyrics, but the magic for me is when the music comes in, where it all comes together. The quality of the music, the quality of the production, the way like what she's bringing to it, it's like perfect. It's just enough. I'm not going to sit here and go to bat and be like, it is one of the most transformative albums of our lifetime. But it was a hell of a treat for me because I'm always looking for this kind of shit. I like the idea of bedroom pop. I think bedroom pop is one of the coolest things that like ever happened to SoundCloud and came out of SoundCloud. It gave us some truly terrifying people like Little Wally or whatever his name is, Tekashi 69. I don't know why I called him Little
Oh
Wally.
God, yeah.
For every Tekashi 69 we get a Clairo. She started doing this when she was 13 and just kept it up and kept putting it out there and put in the work, which this is a whole other dimension to Clairo. Are you aware of who she is and who her dad is and where she's from?
No, I've seen things that people call her like a nepo baby. I don't know how true that is.
I don't think it is. I think the quality of the music and the like her prolific output, she's so much shit out there. And doing it all the time, like in a very Zach Bryan-esque way. I think the prolificacy and the consistency of the quality speaks for itself. That being said, her father is like the president and CEO of Top Golf or something like that.
Oh,
He's worked for Coca-Cola and like Ralph Lauren or whatever. I don't know. I some of these are probably not true. Maybe none of these are true. The only one I know is Top Golf and Coca-Cola. So I mean, like this guy is loaded and yeah, top level clearance. But I guess to that I say, because the music stands on its own and is enjoyable, do you care if nepotism came into it at some point? And I truly don't think it did, in the same way that like Gracie Abrams is pure nepotism. Gracie Abrams is a fucking nepo baby. Make no
yeah.
mistake. Her shit is not interesting and it's not good. And I'm sorry. I know there's like rabid fans out there. It's poop. And it's poop that's forced down your throat. Clairo was allowed to be. One of the coolest things I saw was a record store in Denver that had old school, like you paper up a poster and it was the cover of Charm and it says like, out on whatever date,
Mhm.
Clairo, Charm. And it was like, it looked cool. It looked old school. It played into like the way that this is kind of like an old school 70s idea with a little bit of that like psychedelia sprinkled in, honest to God production. And on top of that, musical ideas that were interesting to me. They weren't reinventing the wheel, they weren't putting a hat on a hat, but it was just enough flavor in a genre that I love to hold my attention. So, by that token, who's she hurting if she were a Nepo baby? That's all I'm saying. She didn't take an opportunity from you, me, or anybody else. Okay. That's my
So
stand.
I think, I'm kind of, because you see plenty of both sides, right, of nepo babies. You see if it's, you have to consider the fact that, you she put in the work, she put in the time and effort and everything, but she also didn't need to get a job probably at any point
Yeah,
during
probably
that,
not.
to support herself. So not saying that, not saying that she doesn't deserve to have success because she did put in the work and everything, but I think it does have to be acknowledged at least a little bit that when you have the time to be able to commit to these things instead of having to worry about supporting yourself, it can be a little bit different experience depending on who you are.
That is
um
fair enough.
yeah, but there's plenty of nepo babies that do plenty good work, you know what I mean? So you look at like Lucas Nelson, Willie Nelson's kid, like who would really have paid that much attention to him, but he makes good music. So there's plenty of like kids of musicians that really had the opportunity provided because of who their parents are, but they took it and ran with it. There's nothing wrong with it unless you like completely rely on that and completely like force yourself into a situation using that. I think if you are on your own and put in the work, not really an issue.
Well, and I don't even like disagree with like I just like don't give a fuck in the sense that there's nothing like immoral about having power and wielding it to put your
Yeah.
loved one in a position to succeed. It sounds cuter than it is. It's pretty fucking gross again when it's like Gracie Abrams, but I don't think it's inherently wrong. It's just I won't consume this.
Yeah.
There's some of this where it's going to work out. Like, do you watch The Boys?
Oh yeah.
Jack Quaid. First of all, perfect amalgamation of both his parents. You see Meg Ryan,
Yes.
see Dennis Quaid, and your brain is like, I'm almost having trouble putting it together because I just keep seeing both of them. But anyway, that's a guy with two name brand parents who happens to be a really good actor and very funny and very charming
hmm
and is crushing it with the material he's getting. Same thing with Kurt Russell's son, Wyatt Russell.
Yep.
Fucking love that guy.
Yeah.
So and Clairo, it works out when someone's got the talent and the passion to succeed. That's a great story.
Because I mean, what do we all want to do, right? Like, if you had the choice to do anything at all with your life, like you'd probably want to write movies, and direct and act in movies. Like that's kind of what you'd probably want to do, or something creative. But you got to have a 9 to 5 until you like make that happen. But if you had the opportunity and freedom to do it, that's exactly what you would do. It's just, I think there's people that are lucky enough to get the opportunity to get the start, and then it's up to them to run with it. And it sounds like, at least to you, she has.
At least to you, she has. And we've finally come to it, folks. I got him to hate the album.
I don't think I'm gonna ever hate this album. I think it's just gonna be a matter of like, it's just not gonna be one that I listen to. Like maybe Marla catches wind of it and I hear it because she likes this, kind of soft. Like there's also heard a lot of kind of jazzy sort of stuff in here. So she loves listening to like Stan Getz and Gilberto, I think is how you say his name. What's the girl from Ipanema or something. So like they did that one, but she loves listening to all that. And it's just this very like kind of muffled saxophone kind of thing, like soft piano, a little bit of guitar here and there, but it's nothing too invasive. It never like gets up and gets like real cooking. Like it stays pretty calm and mellow. Like this is the kind of thing she'd probably like.
Is Wife of the Pod a fan of George Benson?
I don't know. I don't know who that is.
You will put on Breezin' at some point. Put on Breezin' around her. That song is Liquid Hot Magma, because I know that she's pro Dan.
Yeah,
and
unfortunately.
That makes my heart sing. Oh, I got the last nail in the coffin for this album for you, actually.
Oh no.
You hate the Shins, right?
Yeah, not a fan.
Not a fan, or you hate them?
I wouldn't say I hate them, just like not a fan. It's skewing a little towards I hate them, but not quite.
Skew douchebag?
Yeah. I don't really, I'm not into the Shins.
Clairo called Wincing the Night Away, which is the Shins album. She called Wincing the Night Away the first album that made her seriously geek out about music.
Ooh. Okay.
To me, that's amazing. But to you, angel to some, demon to others. Clairo.
That's in the other one. What's the, so there's the Shins, Fleet Foxes. Can't stand them.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Father John Misty disappeared up his own ass.
Ugh.
And the music became unlistenable. I enjoy Fear Fun. It's like a pretty, like, it's like kind of eating cotton candy. It's a pretty like airy album. Not like this is some serious shit. He's doing classic California hipster bullshit, but I enjoyed it. But at a certain point, he vanished up his own ass. So there's a little mini review of Father John Misty for the folks.
I don't think I've liked a single thing I've listened to by Father John Misty,
and that's fair.
Yeah, not even a bit. But I think let's wrap up this little Clairo album, because there's actually something else I wanted to talk about today that I forgot previous. So I'm gonna go ahead. I think everybody at home could probably guess like which way this one was going for me, but I'm going to go ahead and say skip it. And if you listen to this podcast and you understand my musical tastes and you agree with my musical tastes, you'll probably want to skip this one. If you agree with Alex, I'm going to let him tell you.
Ooh, I already done gone and purchased it.
Of course you did. Yeah, I feel like this is like on vinyl. This is exactly the kind of album you want to have up on that shelf.
Yep, absolutely. This will go down in the Hall of Fame with Mitski and SZA and Caliucci's and all of my loved ones that sit on my shelf. And maybe someday, Jeff and I will, don't worry, I'm not ending the episode. Just getting it in, just getting the plug in. Maybe someday Jeff and I will take you on a little tour of our vinyl, as if you care. But maybe that's the bit, is you go, these guys are fucking actually pathetic. And I can't believe I've wasted this much time watching their shit at youtube.com/C/out on that line. That's right, folks. We're getting that plug right in there. I'm going to keep this one brief because Jeff said that he had something else. So I'm not going to waste any more time, and neither should you. Jump right over to youtube.com/C/out on that line for reaction videos, the podcast, on the record, special guest stars. You never know what surprises we're going to do. Neither do we. So make sure that you subscribe, you turn your notifications on, you smash that like button, and you leave a dang comment or two. We got some people leaving 5-6 comments on our videos. So why don't you be one of those people at youtube.com/C/out on that line?
You goddamn right. It's a quick thing I wanted to bring up. I don't know if you've noticed, like Chappell Roan recently has been expressing that it's getting a little overwhelming with the amount of attention that people are trying to get from her, to the point of like she can't even walk down the street without people like bothering her. And it was kind of inevitable that this was going to happen, like just with how quickly she's blown up, and America can never behave themselves, all the way back to like the Beatles and then on through Michael Jackson, the Backstreet Boys, like New Kids on the Block. I mean, it's just like we have such a history of being so weird about celebrities. Like, leave her alone. If you scare her out of the music industry, I will come and hunt every last one of you down. So leave her alone so we can keep getting albums like Rise and Fall of Midwest Princess, because it was fantastic. It was great. It was a goddamn heat-seeking missile of pop perfection fired straight at our chest. And if you keep being weird and she backs away from the industry and stops wanting to make music, I will never forgive any of you, and I will hunt you down until my dying breath.
That is an out on that line guarantee.
Have you seen anything about that?
No, I haven't.
It's like apparently like getting pretty bad. They moved her to the biggest stage, so they switched nights of her performing at ACL because they know what kind of crowd is going to be showing up. And so they bumped somebody else from being the headliner on Sunday night to like move her into that spot and get her on the bigger stage.
Jesus. Here's the thing. Thank God it's her and she's cool as fuck, because the alternative could be Jelly Roll.
I still say I went back and listened to some of the songs on that Eminem album, and that Jelly Roll song I think is the best one.
Dude, unbelievable. So Post Malone made his little album, his new little
I
thing
saw
that
some of the
wasn't-
guest stars on that one. I'm not impressed.
Well, wouldn't you know, Jelly Roll's on there. So probably gonna have to listen to that and cringe all the skin off my face. Maybe I should do that as a reaction. Oh shit.
Oh,
Jeff.
yes. Because honestly, that album's getting like crazy good reviews right
Is
now.
it? I haven't listened to a lick.
I haven't listened to any of it. I think it's everybody's been saying like, oh, we're glad Post Malone is finally doing country because this is fantastic. And I don't know. I don't know.
We were some of those people. We were some of the OG people being like, if he ever wanted to do country, I think he'd succeed. But you're never going to succeed with fucking Jelly Roll.
But that's when he was playing like Sturgill covers and stuff like that. And then he came out with this album. He's got freaking Jelly Roll and Morgan Wallen and people like that on it. I'm like, that's not what we meant. That's not what we meant.
God damn it. Where's your Tyler Childers?
Yeah, that's I mean, just a little frustrating to see the song list on that. And then to hear the rest of Stampede too. I was telling you, was like not that impressive.
It's a day for big suck in the country music scene.
Yeah.
But that's okay. If I've learned one thing about the genre, it's that it always bounces back.
Yeah, it's like a dead cat.
Like a bad penny.
Well, folks, that's all I had for y'all today. Alex, did you have any other closing thoughts?
No, we got to wrap this bird up.
Yeah, we got to wrap this bird up. And until next time.